and welcome grade 9 students. This is Teacher Dali, your math buddy for today. Come and join me as we explore the world of mathematics filled with fun and learning experiences. But before we start, get your paper and pen, and together we will love and learn mathematics right at the comfort of your home.
Our lesson for today is representing quadratic functions by equation, table of values, and graph. At the end of this video, you will be able to represent quadratic function using table of values, graph, and equation. Recall that quadratic function is a function defined by y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, or f of x is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. Quadratic functions can be represented through equations, and it can be written in two forms. The first form is the general form of a quadratic function and is represented by f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. The second one, we have the standard form, or the commonly known as the vertex form of the quadratic function. And it is represented by f of x equals a multiplied by x minus h quantity squared plus k, where a, h, and k are real numbers and a is not equal to 0. Let us determine whether each function is a quadratic function or not. The first one, we have f of x equals negative x plus 7. Is it a quadratic function? Correct, it is not a quadratic function since the degree is 1. How about g of x equals x squared plus 1? Is it a quadratic function? Correct. It is a quadratic function where a is 1, b is 0, and c is equal to 1. How about if we have f of x equals x cubed minus 2x plus 5? Is it a quadratic function? Correct. It is not a quadratic function since the degree is 3. How about if we have h of x is equal to 2 multiplied by x plus 3 quantity squared? Is it a quadratic function? Correct. So this is written in vertex form. So it is a quadratic function. How about if we have g of x is equal to x squared minus 2x minus 5? Is it a quadratic function? Yes, it is a quadratic function since the degree is 2. Now, quadratic function can also be represented by table of values. So let us discover how do we determine a quadratic function using table of values. In the previous example, we have g of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 5, which is a quadratic function. Now, let us try to solve for the values or to complete the table of values. So, let's say if we are going to assign the value of x, which is 3, then g of x or y is now g of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 5 So we will just substitute the value of x, which is 3. So that is g of 3 equals 3 squared minus 2 times 3 minus 5. So simplifying it, we have g of x is equal to negative 2. So the value of y is negative 2. If the value of x is 2, what will be the value of y or g of x? So let us solve. Substituting 2 to the variable x, so we will have 2 squared minus 2 times 2 minus 5. So when we simplify, that is equivalent to negative 5. So therefore, g of 2 is equal to negative 5. If the value of x is 1, then g of 1 is equal to 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 5. And the result is negative 6. If you will assign the value of x as 0, then 0 squared minus 2 times 0 minus 5. And the answer is negative 5. So the value of y is negative 5. If x is negative 1, so let us solve the value of y. We have negative 1 quantity squared minus 2 times negative 1 minus 5. And the result is negative 2. So we have now y is negative 2. This is now the quadratic function represented by table of values. What if ang given ay table of values? How do we determine if it is a quadratic function? So let us have the differences in x values. I-subtract lang natin yung mga x values. So 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. And 0 minus negative 1 is 1. Then, ito ay tinatawag natin na differences in x. So what do you observe? They are equal. Subukan naman natin sa differences in y values or f of x. Negative 2 minus negative 5 is 3. Negative 5 minus negative 6 is 1. Negative 6 minus negative 5 is negative 1. And negative 5 minus negative 2 is negative 3. So kung mapapansin ninyo, ang first difference natin sa y are not equal. So ito ngayon ang tinatawag natin na first difference. So first difference in y or f of x. Try natin or subukan natin na isubtract ulit yung first differences natin. So 3 minus 1 is 2. 1 minus negative 1 is 2. Negative 1 minus negative 3 is 2. So what do you observe about the second differences in y? So the second differences in y are equal. This means that a quadratic function in a table of values shows that equal differences in x produce equal second differences in y or f of x. So to get the common difference, ang lagi lang natin gagawin is to subtract each term in the table from its successor. So kagaya ng ginawa natin sa ating example. So tandaan, sa value or values of x, dapat sa first difference equal na sila. And sa values ng y, kailangan sa second difference doon pa lang sila magiging equal. So this is now the quadratic function in an equation. So g of x equals x squared minus 2x minus 5. And represented as table of values, we have x, we have negative 1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And for the values of y, we have negative 2, negative 5, negative 6, negative 5, and negative 2. Now, for us to represent quadratic function in a graph, so let us graph or plot the points in the given table of values. So let us have the Cartesian plane. Plot the point negative 1, negative 2, then 0, negative 5, then we have 1, negative 6, 2, negative 5, and 3, negative 2. Then connect the points. So as you can see, this is the graph of the quadratic function. So how do you describe the graph of the quadratic function? So it is a smooth curve called a parabola. Now, determine whether the given graph is a quadratic function or not. Is this a quadratic function? Correct. It is a quadratic function since it is a smooth curve called parabola and it opens upward. How about this graph? Is it a quadratic function? Yes, it is a quadratic function wherein it opens downward. What if the graph opens to the right? Is it a quadratic function? So let us test. Using the vertical line test, if this line passes the graph more than 1, then it is not a quadratic function. So let us draw the vertical line test. Ilang beses dumaan yung vertical line test natin doon sa graph? So 2 beses. That's why it is not a quadratic function. Next graph. Is this a quadratic function? Of course not, because it is a straight line and it is a linear function. How about this graph? It is not a quadratic function. And now it's your turn. Get your paper and pen and do the following activities. The first one, you have to determine whether the given table of values is a quadratic function or not. Then, determine whether the given equation is a quadratic function or not. Then, determine whether each graph is a quadratic function or not. And that's for today, guys. Again, this is Teacher Dali, your math buddy na nagsasabing, practice makes perfect. Thanks for watching!